Hello and welcome to my presentation today. My name is Caitlin Rohr, and I will be going over the company of Starbucks in regard to their organizational design, structure, and change. Starbucks is a coffee company that we all know very well. It was founded in 1971 out of Seattle, Washington, where their headquarters still exist. Starbucks is a company who has grown exponentially over the last 40 years and now has over 40,000 locations in over 88 countries. Fortune magazine is a business journalism magazine founded in 1930, and it's known for its Fortune 500 list that it publishes yearly. Fortune magazine uses 8 dimensions of selection. They start off with quality of management, then move to long-term investment value, social responsibility, financial soundness, wide use of corporate assets, people management, innovativeness, and quality of products and services. The dimension that I find is underperforming is people management. In 2024, the National Consumers League sued Starbucks based on their claims of 100% ethical practices in their coffee and tea production. Unfortunately, Starbucks is not 100% ethical, and this was proven through this lawsuit by the National Consumers League. Workers are seen in slavery-like conditions in these international plantations and are unprotected from outdoor elements while carrying large bags of coffee weighing more than their body weight. It's also known that there are forced labor conditions where children as young as 13 are working in these plantations. Cases of sexual abuse are also filed in relation to women forced into sex acts in exchange for work, as well as lack of healthcare and dangerous working conditions where injuries are happening often. Starbucks people management issues go beyond international plantations and can be found in many U.S. stores where employees are now unionizing in efforts to protect themselves as they are working in unsafe conditions and also are lacking work-life balance. Starbucks has made some moves to eliminate these unionizers by letting them go from the company to try and protect their company from unionization and lawsuit. Lastly, Starbucks has faced some criticism over some issues of racial bias, such as the 2018 incident in Philadelphia, where 2 black men were arrested while waiting for a friend at a Starbucks location. If these issues aren't addressed by Starbucks, they're going to see some large business consequences. Things like decline in customer experience, employee turnover, possible brand damage, unionization efforts by employees, less employee satisfaction, and financial consequences. Starbucks' organizational structure and design uses a multifaceted approach with multiple leadership models. The first problem is their matrix structure that leads to conflict and confusion and inefficiency. Employees have to serve multiple chains of command and deviate their loyalty amongst individuals. This also creates an environment where there are unequal power dynamics and some managers have higher authority than others. In the eyes of the employee, their role becomes ambiguous, leading to lower quality of production. The matrix system takes a high level of communication to prevent misunderstanding, as well as a high level of leadership. And in this case, Starbucks' leadership is very average or even subpar. The next issue of top-down chain of command is leaving a negative effect on employee morale, as oftentimes they don't have an opinion in the execution of tasks. Instead, these individuals have to be robots and execute the decisions made by the highest individual in management. Because these individuals do not work in the store setting, oftentimes the decisions that they make have little to no context, leading to challenges and problems that employees are facing being unsolved. This model is also known to create disconnect between management and staff, leading to unhealthy culture. The centralized control models limit the diversity of decision-making and can hinder the ability to adjust and grow as a company as the decision maker is not on the front lines, understanding what changes need to be made in the store business. Starbucks' geographical leadership model is used to target audiences of multiple cultures. However, this does lead to lack of unity as the company is operating as multiple independent businesses across the world. Starbucks claims to embody servant leadership, transformational leadership, and democratic leadership. They also represent their culture with belonging, craft, courage, and joy. However, this is all a huge contradiction, as from the employee's perspective, there are high turnover rates, management is inconsistent, lack of work-life balance, a lacking culture due to a metrics focus, as well as lack of personal connection. In my opinion, Starbucks can claim whatever they want, but their actions and results are going to reveal the truth. At this time, I feel that Starbucks is not bringing conscious culture and is not really serving a higher purpose, but instead focusing on metrics, money, and growth. As John Mackey and others say, conscious businesses view people as sources, not resources. And in this case, it is seemingly obvious that employees are representing resources to the company. Using Cotter's 8-step change model, Starbucks is going to need to make a plan to make a change. They first need to create a sense of urgency, build a guiding coalition, form a strategic vision, communicate that vision, remove some obstacles, generate short-term wins, sustain their acceleration, and institute change by anchoring it in the company's culture. Currently, I feel that Starbucks' culture is lacking, and this would be a great step to changing their culture and working for the higher purpose of their company. It's important that the management is focused on not only creating the culture, but also making sure that they are consistent with their culture. As of now, I feel that they claim that they are servant leaders, but they don't show servant leadership. And like Cotter says, nothing undermines change more than behavior by important individuals that is inconsistent with verbal communication. As we all know, Starbucks is a very well-known company and is highly successful. However, that does not mean there's no need for change. Especially in this area of people management, change is necessary. Changing the international source to ethical working conditions, I think, is the first step that Starbucks needs to take. It's important that these international plantations are following Starbucks' higher purpose and that Starbucks is providing guidelines to be sure that their sourcing is 100% ethical. Starbucks needs to prioritize their employees' needs and make sure that they are being heard instead of being forced to be robots and just follow command. I think it's also important that Starbucks allows employees to interact rather than forcing technology on each other. I think that interpersonal connection is an important part of a successful company. They need to make sure that management follows their own values and higher purpose. As stated prior, they do claim that they're servant leaders, they do claim that they have these high values, but sometimes management doesn't seem to follow their own values or higher purpose. If this company is claiming servant leadership, they need to make sure that they're performing that servant leadership from the top. Management needs to commit to making a change, and they need to develop this plan to serve their higher purpose. Here are my references used for this presentation. Feel free to check them out at any time, and I want to thank you for being here for my presentation today.